Okay, welcome back students, and this time we're going to have a look at transients. Now this is going to be just a refresher course on transients. What are they, how we can see them, and then later on we're going to be looking at how we can apply them, why we need to be looking out for them, etc. So transients, now if you didn't know, transients are the really short bit of the burst of energy right at the beginning of audio sample or any bit of music here. So it's just this little part here. Now that's on a snare drum, so I'll just play it here. Right. Here's another one here. Now these first three audio samples are snare drums. There you go. Now transients are important because what they do is they help identify what sound it is. Okay, so what's happening is in that short burst of sound, our ears are highly tuned to pick up what has been hit or what kind of sound it is. So in this case, it sounds like a high-pitched snare. In this one here, it sounds like a dull thud, like a really nice snare. And this one here, you can hear that kind of papery sound of the snare. So it really helps identify what is being hit. Now if I scroll over and just play this one here, which is a 99 kick drum, right, it's really identifiable. Really, if we zoom in here, you can see that this transient is really pronounced. Now it's, as you can see, it's a very clean transient, and so later on if you go to distort it, saturate it, it really does well. Probably why it's one of the just most iconic sounds and used so much in techno. So here I got a little loop, right? Okay, so just really simply, it's the beginning part of a sound, a burst of sound. It's very short. It helps identify the sound, what it is. Okay, now also you can get sounds clearly that don't have transients. All right, so in that case, like a sine wave, it'll just be, it won't have a transient. So if I just insert a MIDI track, you know, go over here, loop that, play this note here, insert a operator, right, loop that. Okay, just this sound, if I now freeze and flatten it and I zoom in here, all right, it's just super consistent across the whole waveform, right? It doesn't have a transient. So some sounds have transients, some sounds don't have transients, and they're there to help us identify what the sound is. When you're looking at things like audio samples, like snare drums, you can basically tell, you want to look for quality of sound, and our quality of sound means, does it have a really nice transient? And when we're mixing, because this is an advanced diploma class, we really don't want to have clashing transients, because it kind of gives information to our ears that something's not right. So if I try to get these samples together and I just join them together like that, I'm just going to turn the volume down and then I looped it, right? What you'll find out is like this sound just sounds messy, right? As you can, because now if I zoom in here, you can see there's a bit of a gap here. So I'm just going to move this up closer to that one, right? So I'm just going to zoom right in. You have to, it's really detailed work doing transients. So I would suggest, you know, you got to zoom right in. So I'm just going to leave a little gap there. Okay. So later on, you'll be able to identify that something's not right, or, you know, you've got two different tones happening here. Okay. Now, don't be fooled by this snare, which has a longer tail. So this snare, your ear is hearing this longer tail happen on this sample, right? But we really want to concern ourselves with the beginning here. So you have to kind of basically realize, what transient do you want to keep? Do you want to keep this really nice, clean, thuddy transient? Or do you want to take this transient here? Now that's going to be appropriate for the tune you're making. Now, if you don't want to keep this sample, this transient here, what you can do is just either move it out of the way. So just kind of move it out of the way of this part of the transient here, like this. All right, so if I unsolo that, all right. Or you can also apply a fade. So just over that period there. So I'm just going to undo this. And then I'll just apply a fade just in that period there so they don't clash. And you can do it that way. All right. Now, I did mention in the last video, if you watched it, phase, you can actually go here. I've got a utility plugin on. I can just invert the phase on this snare. And I can tell if I just bypass it, if it's any better. Okay, you can hear that it's definitely a different sound. All right, so here. Okay, this feels like it has a bit more body and it's longer. And when it's on, it's a bit more tighter. All right, it doesn't seem to have a lot of bounce. This is on my headphones anyway. So I'll leave it there for this video. That's just a really fast look at transients, and transients and phase generally go together. In the next videos, we'll be talking about kick drums and snare drums in a little bit more detail, how to align the phase, what tools we could use, because hopefully you're layering your kicks and snares and hi-hats and breaks, etc., and bass, because that is a really good sign of a good track. All right, catch you in the next video.